Odell Lewis in number 70 and the rest of the fleet rumble out for the start of California's 440-mile Long Beach to San Francisco race. America's greats were all there for that one. Aronow, who broke down. Lewis in the fabled gas turbine-powered aluminum Maritime. That's Bob Nordskog in his Formula. Here comes Aronow. New Yorker Bill Wishnick in his big broad jumper, sister ship to Odell's aluminum monster. And Cooper's Spooky, and that's Darrell sitting out there in the wet. The scenery is just great, but ocean racing's two cagiest drivers are too busy trying to psych each other to notice. The two big boys fight it out up front. Aronow in his conventional Mercruiser-powered number 4, and Lewis in the invincible jet-powered Mona Lou, number 70. Nordskog rides better than most. One of the few ocean racers to drive sitting down, the aircraft equipment manufacturer is perched on a heavy-duty shock absorber seat on his number 33. The pace begins to tell. Boats drop out. Not Odell in his nautical perpetual motion machine. Bill Saroy charges on. Bill is probably the best all-around race driver in the world. He pilots ocean racers, marathon boats, and hydroplanes equally well. That's John Stenbach in his triple Mercury-powered outboard. It's a three-dimensional job, piloting an outboard at sea, much of it spent flying through the air. Some ocean racers use ballast tanks. Others take advantage of trim tabs to try to soften the incredibly hard knocks of the ocean. But both slow a boat down. Spooky's tail gunner, Jenkins, is getting enough kicks to last 3 lifetimes. The route of the Long Beach to San Francisco race is one of the most beautiful of any of the leading world offshore events. But the only thing that the race boat crews will notice is that parts of it take place past sheer stone cliffs, blocking any easy way to shore and help. Don Aronow and his co-driver Naki House remember part of the scenery, the part that dropped out of the sky on them. An overzealous photographer's helicopter whirled down too low this race and hit Aronow's boat. No big damage, but it was one of the very few things that ever shook the giant Floridian in an ocean race. Aronow fights on, but Odell is too much for them all. It'll be the swan song for this great jet-powered sea machine. Its final performance is so devastating as to move the sanctioning bodies of the sport to outlaw the most revolutionary offshore racer of all time. Mr. Clean, co-driver Darrell Jenkins, who spent 440 miles taking a fast bath. The boats usually finish offshore and string out for miles. The people on the docks have no idea what it's like out there. The gay Bahamas, where it all began in 1956, where the natives swear they can still hear the dead Sam Griffith's old number 88 rumbling over the flats. Old Sam won 4 of the first 6 Miami Nassau's, where Captain Red Price, the colorful maverick promoter of the sport, reigns supreme. Plenty of sun, fun, and partying here, and some of the world's most fierce ocean powerboat racing takes place in the beautiful islands. But it's not all partying for everybody. The mechanics sweat and toil down in the bilges, while the heroes have the fun. But then if you work hard and keep your master's boat running, you can come back again. So you can sweat and toil in the bilges again. The mechanics work a lot like the old shade tree auto mechanics. Sort of scratch and think and experiment. Another dawn and another battle. It'll be the last time the crews will get a chance to stretch their legs for hours. Before nightfall, dozens of boat crews will be struggling to overcome all sorts of mishaps at sea.
SR Race Control, come in, please. Big Bamboo, back to Nassau Race Control. Control, go ahead. Big Bamboo, Nassau Race Control. We are still unaccounted for through your station, Raceboat 199 and Raceboat 333. Is that affirmative?
That is Roger. That is Roger. 80 is back
Famed Bahamas 500. At 580 miles, the world's longest ocean power boat race. By the time it's over, one boat will be drifting, lost in the Gulf Stream. 2 or 3 will be sitting high and dry on sandbars. Another driver, New Yorker Bill Wishnick, will suddenly discover that he has no rudders with more than halfway to go. He almost wins in a heroic effort, steering his huge craft by throttles alone. And at Nassau, the midway point, no less than the famous prize fighter, the late Rocky Marciano, will inform his friend and fellow crewman, driver Dick Genth, that he's glad the race is over. Then he'll announce to whoever wants to hear that whether it is or not, 6 mules and all the king's men won't get him back into that leaping ocean monster again. And even the best have their problems. Aronow's ballast tanks fail him 100 miles out, and the rest of the trip is spent flying stern downward and bow heaven bound. The last leg of the race, and Odell is out front. Odell won this race. Odell wins a lot of races. Good old boy, Odell. With headlights blazing, Odell's Mercruiser-powered Mona Lou slips into the docks at Lucaya on Grand Bahamas Island after 12.5 hours at sea at the wheel. The old Florida country boy winds up with his shoes off.
Well, I never wrestled alligators, but I used to catch alligators, you know, at the lake. With a light at night, we'd ease up behind them and you'd lean over the side of the boat and grab them around the neck, you know, and put them in the boat. They wasn't too big. They'd get up to about 5 foot or something like that, 6 feet. And it's quite hard to hold a 5-foot alligator, grab him around the neck. Damn hard. But once you get him, then you're afraid to turn loose, you know. So you hold on all the harder.
Good old boy, Odell. Tough on alligators. And other drivers, too. 63 boats started that day. Only 16 were able to finish. No matter how long they race in the ocean, the beautiful Bahamas will always be known as the cradle of this exciting sport. memories of the late Sam Griffith, the daring of the Don Aronows and Odell Lewises set the stage for others to follow. They race all over the world now, in Europe, off Africa, South America, on the U.S.'s west coast, even in Australia. But it's hard to beat the warm waters of the Caribbean, where it all started. Once you could race in the World Offshore Circuit with a few $1,000s, a modified pleasure boat, and a friend who was a mechanic. Now, you have to have a good travel agency, an ace mechanic, an exotic 75-mile-per-hour boat, plus about $250,000. And when you sink a modern ocean racer, it's goodbye to $30,000 and no insurance. After the early spring races in the U.S. and Bahamas, the offshore circuit moves to Europe, where they really love their speed sports.